What's going on, guys? It's your average Joes, and we're here today to talk to you about our newest topic, our newest content, and that's what pistol to get when you're getting your first pistol and why to get a certain type of pistol.
All right, you guys are going to have to ignore my nasally sound. I promise it ain't COVID again. It's just a bad sinus infection. First topic to cover on different firearms is going to be just the difference between a regular semi-automatic, not a full semi-automatic. That's a semi-automatic, which means pull the trigger once, it goes off once. And a double action, which is typically found more in revolvers. So we'll start off with the revolver. This is a Ruger Security 6 357 Magnum. You can get revolvers in a bunch of different calibers. You can get them from 22, 38 Special, 357, 9mm. The big difference in this is you're going to have your cylinder. This one carries 6 shots in it.
And we are clear for you trolls that are going to be telling all our guns are rendered clear already. So just so you know, we are not aiming guns at you, the viewers.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, yeah, the cylinder holds 6 shots. Some will have 5. I think some of the 22s can get up to 8. You get the action in this one. As you pull the trigger back, the hammer comes back, which leaves for a lot longer of a trigger press. You got to bring a lot more slack out of the trigger before the gun goes off.
And a lot more weight. I think this is a 10 or 12 pound trigger. So that's something to consider. It can be a good thing if you're in a stressful situation, because in reality you're probably not going to feel that difference in the weight of the trigger just because of your body's stress response. And it may be a good thing as to prevent accidental discharges. The other way you can do this, you can pull slack out of the trigger a little bit by actually cocking the hammer. In reality, in an everyday carry situation, you're not going to remember to do that. It's more of a fine motor skill, and it's an extra step that you're going to forget. Yeah. But you do that, and then there's a significant amount of less trigger pull in it. So now we're going to go to a semi-automatic pistol. I'll render it safe again. So with these, it's one pull of the trigger, and the gun goes off. The explosion of the round recycles it, and you'll have a magazine in this in a normal situation. And chambers another round, you pull the trigger. It's significantly lighter trigger in these. So, yeah, that's how it functions. Considerations with this, you're going to be able to get a lot more ammo capacity in a firearm like this, whereas to that one you just get 6 shots. So what would be the pros? Let's talk about the pros and the cons a little bit between getting a semi-auto gun and a double action revolver. What would be the pros and the cons of having this in your home or having that? Why wouldn't you get one or the other?
A lot of revolvers, they're good in their own sense as far as calibers. There's that safety component there where it's not as light of a trigger. Heaven forbid some younger kid gets a hold of it or something. It's a little bit harder to pull that trigger back, which that's a whole nother topic, is safe storage. We're going to get into that down the road. Yep. So there's that consideration. There's not a whole lot of attachments in this market with a revolver.
Not at all.
I hate to say it, but the revolver market's kind of just dying off.
Yeah.
You get some old school people who like it, and that's just because that's what they're familiar with, and by all means, that's good for them. I probably would not choose a revolver as my nightstand gun. Okay. It's just that's going to be more of a pull and shoot kind of deal.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about racking it. It's a lot harder to stop this chamber from rotating by grabbing it. Say you're in an altercation. That is one good thing about this, is you're not going to get that chamber to stop rotating. However, in a semi-automatic pistol like so, if somebody would
put it out of battery by pushing the slide
all
forward,
it takes.
it will not go off.
The gun will not, the trigger will not go off.
So revolvers, their kind of selling point anymore is it's a belly gun. Somebody gets on top of you, you're rolling around with them. You don't have to worry about if you jam it into their belly, it putting the gun out of battery, and then you can't pull the trigger. Revolver is going to go off every time. Oh, reliable.
Oh, reliable. All right, so when we talk about different guns, the most important thing is to understand what exactly your use is going to be. Whether you're wanting a nightstand gun or something that you're going to carry on you or in your vehicle or whatever it is, there are a couple different factors that factor into why you would select a gun. And the first one I want to talk about is this. If you're looking for a nightstand gun or a carry gun, one of the biggest things is the safety. And the biggest reason why safety is a big issue when it comes to nightstand or concealment is because in a nightstand situation where you have your gun just sitting in the same place for a long time, maybe you have kids around, maybe you don't, but you just have that gun there. Something that's important for stowaway is safety. So if in case someone does get their hands on it, you have that safety. If in case your kids do get their hands on it, you have that safety measure there.
You're more prone to want a safety maybe on a nightstand gun rather than an everyday carry gun, because in reality you'll probably hear that person coming through the door in the middle of the night. You're going to be able to have a little bit more time to gather your thoughts and be able to remember to take that safety off, whereas in a critical incident as a everyday carry, it's going to happen a lot quicker. And you're not going to have as much of a warning, so you're probably going to wind up forgetting to take a manual safety off of the firearm.
Yeah, and there's people that kind of use the carry a little bit different. There are people that have safeties on their gun while concealed, but I would say that the majority of people that carry the gun hot, what we call hot.
A way I like to describe it is your ultimate goal should be able to carry a semi-automatic pistol, given you have a good holster. I prefer the Kydex realm anymore. That covers the trigger. But if you're going to start off and to get you started in an everyday carry, I would, if it makes you more comfortable not to carry one hot, which means one in the chamber, or to carry one with a manual safety, that's fine and dandy. It at least gets a gun on your person or in your general vicinity for if a critical incident would happen. It's better than nothing. However, if you can work with getting comfortable enough with that firearm through proper training and exercise. Proper training and exercising, you would be able to, I think everybody should be able to work towards a semi-automatic firearm carried in condition red with one in the chamber, with no manual safeties that they have to defeat, because at the end of the day, in a critical incident, your fine motor skills are the first thing to go. You're going to forget to throw that safety.
It's true. Yeah, and so when we consider the first thing between a nightstand gun and a concealed weapon gun, the first thing to consider, like we said, is the safety. The second thing is this: when considering, am I going to have a gun that's just going to stay in a nightstand, or am I going to have a gun that I'm going to carry? I think the next thing to consider is the size of the gun. What is the size that I'm going to get? If you're getting a nightstand gun, I would say go with a bigger gun. The reason why is because if in case someone does come into the house, if in case you are put in a situation where you have to squeeze the trigger, you're not going to have as much recoil happening, and you're going to be able to control your gun better because of the weight distribution on the gun.
And you may have multiple assailants.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Multiple threats. So the more ammo capacity in that sense is the best.
Yeah, and the weight distribution as well. Yes. The thing with smaller guns, and that's a 22 there, but the things with a smaller gun, that's a 9mm, probably something you would carry, is that the smaller the gun, the more recoil it's going to have. And you're going to have to control that in a case.
Snappier.
Exactly, a lot snappier, which is okay if you're concealing it because of the size. It's easier to conceal.
But if in case you are just looking for a nightstand gun, I would go ahead and grab something that's a little bit more sizey and going to be easier to control if in case you do have to squeeze the trigger. The next thing is this: when you consider nightstand or concealment, and I think really both, you should consider this: attachments. Buying a gun that has the place to put an attachment. Okay, we have two different Glocks right here, and we have one that's an older model that doesn't.
Gen 2 there.
Yeah, a Gen 2, and it doesn't have a rail for an attachment here. Something we always say, Connor definitely always, he lives by this. Something that we always say is, let's get a light on there. Okay,
Yes.
and this is important for not just in the house, or not just like a bump in the night situation, but for a concealed situation. Let's say you're getting out to your car one day, you came out of somewhere late at night, and you got these guys running up to you, right? It's a dim situation, whatever the case is, where you need to assess the situation before you were to ever use the gun. Having that light there does a lot.
You need to be able to positively identify your threat.
Absolutely.
Just that way, you know what you intend to do to that threat. So a light is huge. If you don't have a firearm that has a light on it, I would consider carrying a small flashlight with you every day. If you're going to have a nightstand gun, you just need to buy one and buy a light with it. It's $100, but it could save you from, you hear a bump in the night, heaven forbid. Luckily, my daughter's younger. I don't have to worry about this yet, but trying to sneak a boyfriend in or something in the middle of the night, and you or a kid's home late from curfew, and you're not expecting somebody to come in the door at 2 a.m., and you turn the corner and you don't positively identify that threat, it could wind up being a pretty awful situation.
Yeah.
So you need to know what your target is, and you need to be able to 100% identify what that is.
Yeah. And sometimes the only way to do that is with a flashlight. So we recommend this. We do recommend, if you don't have one, you can't get one, at least have a flashlight. But we do recommend that pretty much every gun have a light on it. They do sell smaller ones. I'll put down in the description below some smaller attachments for lights that are skinnier, thinner, and good for concealment. But the next thing to consider, I think, is the sights. Okay, the sights is important for both nightstand or carry. There are a lot of sights nowadays that come with the night optics, if you would, with the backing
Tritium
night
sights.
Yeah, that glow in the dark, essentially. A thing to consider is I'm pretty sure, almost 100% sure, that the tritium night sights only work if they're in the sun.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now
so-
they do have a long lasting. It's
Glow.
not a battery life,
Yeah.
but glow life to them. But they do need some form of, I don't know if it's sunlight or if it's just light.
Light, yeah,
it
just
needs
strong
light
light.
at some point in time. So you might want to consider that if it's always in the nightstand.
Yeah. Something to consider is a gun that has a place for a red dot. So, and there are guns that have the plate, like kind of like this one here.
So this one here, it's got a removable plate, so you'd be able to put a lot of times the reference is RMRs, red dot mounted something.
Red
Mount, I don't know. Ruggedized miniature reflex.
Wow. Nowhere close there.
So something to consider is this, that the gun has a place to attach a red dot sight on. And so some guns have that.
On this one, it's got a removable plate, so you can attach a red dot sight on it, just with some Allen screws. And then, just so you know, that one has night sights on it. They're actually little circles. This one has your standard Glock sights on it. Those do not have the glow-in-the-dark capabilities. They're just how they come. So there's a little bit of difference as to what they look like.
And so that's something to keep in mind. If you already have a gun, you already have a nightstand gun or a concealed gun, and you don't have anything that's night sight capable, something to keep in mind, definitely in case something does take place at night. That you
a lot of times you can buy aftermarket.
Yeah, you can buy aftermarket.
They're $80 to $100, $120 ish, depending on what brand.
And it's worth it because at nighttime you pick up your gun, you can't see your sights. You don't want to just be wild west shooting everywhere.
Well, and that rolls into kind of my thoughts on a laser. Now, a laser is okay to a point. A lot of times people rely too much on the laser, and they really need to have the proper training and look for that good sight picture and rely on the sight picture rather than a laser. Because in reality, if you have a laser, say, attached to the rear where I have this flashlight at, you think of how much of a difference there is from the laser and its point of impact to the barrel and its point of impact. So that's something to consider, and a lot of times people just rely on it too much. Now, in a quick, ever-evolving situation, maybe you need to, laser gives you a little bit more comfortability to be able to put it center mass and pull the trigger, but I'm not a huge fan of lasers. I would rather spend the space on my gun to have a light than a laser.
Better identification, better situation, all in all. But now I want to talk to just kind of the concealed. So if you are thinking concealed, something that I think is important, to buy a gun that has attachment capabilities. Okay, buy a gun that has a lot of holsters. Buy a gun that has different triggers, sights, different barrels, different wide.
Good aftermarket market.
Yeah, a good aftermarket market. And the reason why is because you buy a gun, oh, this feels good in my hand, this feels great, cool, that's awesome. That's probably a good choice because you feel comfortable with it. Here's the thing, now you go to the market for a concealed holster, and there's nothing on the market that you can comfortably wear. And so now you've got a gun that feels good in your hand, but that you don't carry because you can't get comfortable with it. What's the use? We recommend Kydex, but something to keep in mind, if you're new to this, or maybe you're not new to this, but you go online looking for a holster, there's going to be IWB in the waistband, okay, and there's going to be OWB out of the waistband, okay? What's the difference? One is concealed on the inside of your belt and the inside of your pants, okay, and the other one is on the outside, okay?
Hey, the inside the waistband is definitely the way to go.
Definitely the way to go.
You almost gotta think in the criminal's mind frame on this one. So you walk into Walmart, you're sitting out there all proud with your outside the waistband holster sticking out.
1911.
You got your shirt tucked in, and it's really, you can definitely see it. Some outside the waistbands are okay if they're snug to the body and you have a long shirt or a jacket on.
Correct.
That's okay. We're not slamming that, but don't. And it's kind of the concealed carry versus the open carry. Don't open carry because say you're in Walmart and you're in that exact scenario. I'm a criminal coming in to do harm. Who am I going for first?
You're going first.
I'm going for the one with the gun first.
Absolutely.
So that way I can eliminate that threat and wreak more havoc on the situation.
The only reason I would use an outside the waistband is, like Connor just mentioned, depending on what clothes I'm wearing. If I was wearing a big jacket, something like that, where I can still conceal my out of the waistband, good. I never do that, but that's the only way that I would consider it. I would say this, outside of the waistband, even for those that are good concealable out of the waistband, for the most part, you still always see the gun. I've seen guys that have great holsters out of the waistband. They have jackets on. They go to grab something. It rises up just a little bit, enough to show the bottom of the gun.
Gets caught on it.
Exactly.
And they're walking around and they've exposed their butt of their gun to who knows how many people before they even notice it.
So from us here, from your average Joes, we recommend in the waistband. That's what we're recommending.
The other outside the waistband consideration that would be good would be for going to the range and getting more time on. You don't have to defeat your... I think if you're going to go to the range, you need to be intentional at your time at the range. But if you're going to get into competition shooting or something like that and you want to carry it outside the waistband to be able to help your draw speed and everything, that's fine too. It's not we're saying outside the waistband don't have a place. It's... If you're considering everyday carry, you probably need to go with an inside the waistband.
Yeah. And also, if you are on the range, definitely make sure to time slot correctly and practice your in the waistband draw.
Absolutely.
Because it's cool that you can.
It needs to be muscle memory.
Absolutely, it's great that you can shoot under a second from your outside the waistband. But if in case you do get into an altercation and you have to pull your gun from your in the waistband holster and you've never done that, you're in trouble. Okay, so make sure to put aside time to practice that in the dry fires. And so there we are. We talked about what to consider if you're considering a nightstand and also concealed carry. We think it's important to take these measures to figure out what exactly you are trying to do when you go and purchase a firearm. So we think it's very important. We got a couple different guns laid out here, different sizes, different uses. But take our considerations and do us a favor. Ask us questions down below. We want to help you be safe. We want to help you do the right thing, buy the right gun, and use it correctly.
That being said, there has been a pretty popular question we've gotten as to which one's average and which one's Joe. Well, you guys can determine that. However, I do have to say that if one of us is average, Joe's probably below average.
Well, on that note, we got to laugh about a comment that was shared, and we mean no harm by this, but we had a commenter, someone commenting, say, "Where's Jose?" And then us and him began to laugh when he realized it's not Jose, it's Joe's. And so,
Your average Jose.
Yeah, average Jose. And so, man, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys joining us on this journey. Hopefully, this is helping you out.
Love the feedback.
We love the feedback. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us here on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and to click the little notification so that you can figure out, so you can get a notification every time we post a new video, which will have good content coming out.
The current algorithm for YouTube is all about comments. So the more you can comment, even if it's just to tell us hi, the better it is for us. So we really appreciate it.
And share it. This is super important content. Share it with a family member. Share it with someone that you would love to see safely own a firearm, but they don't know where to start or anything like that. You've got a son or daughter that's of age now,
maybe at college.
At college,
on their own.
Yes, exactly. Make sure that you share this with them.
Peace.